Hey guys, Pierce from RPTV here with my first installment of my new show, Master of Strings. So in this show, I'm going to be teaching you the basic fundamentals of guitar, as well as starting off with really basic tutorials, basic chords, basic songs to play. And as we get further through episodes, we're going to learn more advanced tutorials. So for today, I want to start off by showing you the kind of guitar I'm using. And I'm going to point out the main components of the guitar. Alright, so first thing I'm going to talk about on the guitar is the tuning pegs, which is around the neck of the guitar. Each of these pegs over here will change the pitch of the guitar. So say for example I strum the sixth string, which is the fattest string on the guitar, the one closest to your face. If I strum that and turn this down, you hear it'll change the pitch. So that's what that does. And if we get a little bit lower, right around here, that would be the nut of the guitar. What the nut of the guitar does is there's little grooves in it that will hold all the strings in place to make sure that, when you strum, it doesn't fly off the guitar and go all crazy and everything. The infamous fretboard, which is that long, black, dark brown board right here. The reason it's called the fretboard is because it consists of frets, which are these long metal wiring things along here. So that's the fretboard. And then of course you have the 6 strings. And actually a lot of people ask me what this black thing here is, because that's not often mentioned in guitar lessons. It's a pick guard. So when you strum, you don't scratch the model of the guitar. So that's basic components of the guitar. I could get further into more detailistic things like the bridge of the guitar, but that's not really important right now because we're just kind of getting started. So I'll tell you what this thing is. It's called a capo, and you could get them from really any music store. You could get them from Future Shop, Long and McQuaid, Steve's Music. What it does is you clamp it onto behind any fret that you want to, and it'll change the pitch. So the original pitch, which is standard E, sounds like this. Right? But when I put on the capo, let's say behind the 2nd fret, which is this fret right here, it'll raise the pitch of the sound. Or if I want to go higher to the 6th fret even, it'll just keep raising the sound of the pitch of the guitar. So now I want to kind of get into chords and chord progressions. I'm going to start with the simplest chord progression I could possibly think of, and I'm going to tell you what to and what not to do while performing these chords. So the first chord I'm going to show you is the G chord, which sounds like this. That's the G chord. Okay, so the G chord, there's 2 ways of doing it. One way is with your middle finger behind the 3rd fret. So the 3rd fret will be the 3rd little bit of metal wiring. Right behind that, you place your middle finger right behind it. And then you put your index finger on the 5th string, which is the 2nd fattest string here. Right, so the order would be 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to put our index finger behind the 2nd fret on this 5th string, and that's the sound it should make. So far you should have, right? And then you leave the next 2 strings open. Open meaning that you don't put any fingers on them. They just make their natural sound. And then what you would like to do, like I said, there's 2 ways of doing this, and I'm going to show you the way that I usually do it, is put your ring finger on the 3rd fret, behind the 3rd fret once again, on the 2nd string, and that's the sound that you should get. It should go from the normal standard E sound, which is a B, and go to that. And then the last thing you want to do, it's kind of a tricky chord, is put your pinky finger right below where your ring finger is. So that would be the 1st string, 3rd fret, right behind the 3rd fret, remember. So that's what you should get. And this is a part where I'm going to start telling you what not to do, because these chords can be really tricky to perform. So the main thing, one thing that you will struggle with for sure, you're not going to get it just like that. One thing that you're really going to struggle with is not pushing hard enough on the strings. So if I try to strum the chord and my fingers are not pushing hard enough on the strings, I'm going to get really kind of staticky. You know, it's not going to sound right. But if I'm pushing hard enough, as hard as I'm supposed to, it'll sound as clear as it's supposed to. So you really got to make sure that you're pushing down. You won't hurt the strings. Believe me, you will not. You could bend them to raise a pitch, whatever. You will not hurt the strings. You may hurt yourself, though. It's going to take time to get used to the blistering on your fingers and everything. But once you do, it's nothing. It's easy as it gets. So push as hard as you can. That's one thing. The second thing that people do is they'll put their fingers on strings that they're not supposed to be on. So for example, this is how the chord once again is supposed to sound. But if your fingers are touching other strings that they're not supposed to, say with my index finger, like I said, it's just supposed to touch the 5th string, 2nd fret. If it's touching, say, the 4th string as well, because you know it's kind of hard to really keep your fingers independently on each string. Sometimes you'll just hit other strings that you don't mean to. You'll start missing sounds. So that A string sound that you're supposed to get, you won't get it. Because you're not clear of the rest of the strings. So you really gotta make sure that your fingers aren't touching any other strings or else it'll get all screwed up, right? You'll start missing strings. So one technique to do that is to make sure that your thumb is kind of right behind the chord on the other side of the guitar. Right? If your thumb is elsewhere, like wrapped all around the guitar, you're going to start, for sure you're going to block other strings and you won't get the sound that you're looking for. So you got to really make sure, try to just have your thumb right on the top of the fretboard right there. I think that's probably the perfect place. It does depend though on how long your fingers are. But for me, which is like I have an, I guess, kind of over average size hand, so my thumb will be wrapped slightly around the strings, but not enough to block the other strings. So just make sure that your thumb is as over the fretboard as it can be, but not intercepting with any of the strings. So that way your fingers won't be blocking anything, you'll be fine. So those are the two main things that you need to worry about. So that's, once again, middle finger, 3rd fret, index finger, 2nd fret of the 5th string, ring finger on the 2nd string, 3rd fret, and pinky finger, 3rd fret, 1st string. And that's the sound you'll get out of it. So let me play the whole progression for you real quick. It goes like this. That's it. All right, so yeah, that was the G string. And I'd like to say thank you very much for tuning in to Master of Strings. That's the first installment. Make sure you get your guitars and make sure you keep practicing that G chord, because next time we're going to move on to the 2nd chord in this progression called E minor, which is a lot easier, so you don't have to worry about stressing your fingers too much. But so make sure you tune in next time so you can catch that. And then we'll move on from there. Thanks again, and this is Pierce signing out with RPTV.